There we go. All right, I am here with Hilary to debrief her on the 67 experiment. All right, overall impressions, impact. Overall, thinking of the entire thing, what feelings, thoughts, memories come to mind?
Yeah. Overall, very happy and content with the entire experiment. I think one experiment that isn't necessarily large and important to this whole thing is that I was not leading it or pushing it forward from the beginning. That was a huge vulnerability piece for me from the beginning, because we came up with the idea in the strategic partner circle, and that was right when I needed all my attention on the conference. And I basically said, like, I'm here, but I'm not going to be meeting with anybody to push this and make this forward. And that was really scary to do, but I absolutely loved it. I loved hearing and seeing the results of all your meetings with Zach, and he touched that on his towards the end of his debrief. But it was really cool. So I think organizationally, we did one hell of a job as far as like pulling this off together. Get some lots of validation, lots of content feelings coming up, and tons of different memories.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's super exciting. Yeah, almost like this was a huge, just a huge growing moment for us as circles and as an organization to work all together on a major project, other than the conference, but like really a major project.
A major project we've never done before.
Right, a major experiment. Yeah.
Like we've never fundraised before, ever. And then we did 2 in a month. That sounds like us, a little overachievers. It's fine.
Man. So what, if you had to say, was your favorite part?
I keep going back and forth with the favorite and most important. So I think my favorite part was the meeting, a communications meeting while you were on vacation with me, Zach, and Karine, and we were talking about, we previewed Zach's last video, and he said, yeah, and we start June 9th. And I was like, what? And then to prepare for that meeting, I decided that we were just going to take it slow and just get to know each other and hang out. So like we all kind of felt the release of like pressure to do things. And then Zach came and he was like, hey, can we actually like look at this? Like, yeah, definitely. And then we were able to like collaborate together. He asked for some advice. We like debriefed the whole facilitator questions for that video and that process for him. And then he was open to suggestions, which led to some text and the music behind it, the 2 different tracks behind it, which was just really cool to see our circle function in that way. And then the proposal to move the start date, I had to call you on your vacation and you were there. I remember I was going to the dentist to get like a root canal or something. And it was just so it's so funny and fun, and it happened so quick. And I was like, oh, we're gonna have, this is an interrupt her vacation call. This isn't just hey, by the way, we changed the date. This is we need consent. We need her to like wish we were recording this. So yeah, I think that part was one of my favorites.
Wow. I think it's incredible that Zach's favorite as well was high emotions and potential conflict situations. And I'm like, what?
I was like, wait, tell me more.
So yeah. I'm like, that's very funny. That was your favorite part.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we're going to distill it down farther, it was how closely we pay attention to each other in community. And that call could have gone much differently if Zach didn't really pay attention to the fact that I was like, June 9th? Like what? Because I just like quickly said that and moved over it. And he was like, wait a minute, you looked a little panicked there. But if he wasn't paying attention, and if Cutting wasn't paying attention, we wouldn't have gone that direction. We wouldn't have changed the proposal. And there would have been a lot of different things. So I think how much we pay attention to each other is my favorite part.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What do you feel like you did? Oh, well, what's your least favorite? We'll do that too. We'll go there. Least favorite part.
Yeah. There's a bunch of little like hiccups along the way. But a lot of them I'm like, well, I mean, like, they're not like my least favorite, because like we learn from them and we go and we move forward. But if I could pick one, I think it was the misunderstanding from Rally Up. And I got a formal apology from the girl we met with live, who told us live that there was no recurring fees on Rally Up. She was so apologetic and like so sorry, and she was literally talking about what Rally Up will be in a few months, but didn't make that differentiation when we asked for it. I think that was my least favorite part. There was multiple times, especially as we were finding it out live, that my heart was just sinking. And I was like, this is awful. I wouldn't have suggested it, like it's just a lot of, very least. And their marketing is great, except for they don't talk about that part. It's very secretive.
Yeah.
So,
well, and like you said, they're not necessarily set up to do what we were trying to do either.
Exactly.
So this was new for them probably, and they were even figuring out what their software can do and what it can't do.
Yeah. So like it's all live and learn, but that was probably my least favorite part about the whole thing.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing a debrief from them on how this was for them. Just like working with us, like, did they enjoy working with us, even through the bumps,
how annoying were we?
Yeah, or if they encountered us as different, and forgiving and kind and, all that. That would be fascinating. What did you do that helped people enter into the experience, or that helped this be pulled off the way it was, as well as it was?
Yeah, I think my lack of involvement in all like the prep and stuff was fine, but when it came down to it, like, you guys need someone who could just send the emails and just like type it out and figure it out and test it a billion times before the final test was sent. So that was important. And then enter in. Well, on the staff side, I think I did a great job onboarding us to Rally Up, and getting the live schedule figured out and adjusting when I found out that we couldn't live stream 24/7 for 7 days a week, which is what my original plan was, by the way, everyone watching. And I was like totally on board to do it, but it's just not possible. So I think the adjusting and prepping everybody for the live stream event was helped people enter in. Like the whole day of practice was great, and basically everybody showed up in that one day. Actually, I think everybody did. So
that's amazing. Hold on, I just had a next step idea that I forgot to write down, and I'm scared I'll forget it.
No, you're fine.
I don't write it down. What you just said made me think of it. Okay, cool.
Can I know what it is?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with right now, but
no, that's fine. I know,
but it does, because as you were talking, I'm thinking of what do we, who's going to be watching this debrief, and how can we use these debriefs, because Scott Lazarus was asking, for us to do a video or a podcast debrief where we kind of debrief the larger picture of from the beginning of the strategic partner circle, why it was formed, how we came to this idea, and then overall debriefing this experiment. And so anyway, so my mind was thinking that, but what else he said was he didn't have time to watch videos at all. Like he couldn't engage live with it. But a suggestion that he gave was, how quickly could you convert a video into a podcast? Because I can listen to podcasts. And so I was like, oh, so had we been able to, get the video, which we did, and then turn it into a podcast, which I can easily do. I wonder if
edit out the 5 or so minutes at the beginning of the end where we're figuring out rally up.
Totally. And I wonder if that, would actually next time help our community involvement. So it's that community involvement piece, because maybe more people would be able to listen, right, to the 67 experiment if they were all on podcasts. Anyway, so that was the suggestion I didn't want to lose.
No, that's great. I had a next step revelation in the bathroom. So
the next step for me is, do we want to take those videos that we have now and turn them into podcasts so that our community can go through that whole 67 experiment as it went on, right? Like, I wonder if that's something you want to do as a series or not, right? And would we do it on Stories of the Revolution? Would we do it on Joy Field and Jesus Led? Would we do it on both? Like, what do we want to do with that? So I think that's a huge conversation that that needs to be had for next steps.
That's great. I love that. It does make sense. Yep.
Anyway.
Tons of podcasters record themselves on video and then post their
and do conferences even, and so
that's fun. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, sorry. Lack of involvement. What did you do? You sent the emails, onboarding to Rally Up. That was incredible. Yeah. Onboarding to Rally Up. And what else did you say that you did to help people enter in?
That was for staff.
Uh-huh. I mean, you proposed Rally Up. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Like, had you not done that, we wouldn't have had the experience at all.
That's true.
So that definitely helped us all have, think about it, just what this 67 experiment would have been like without that. We didn't know we were going to have that when we proposed the 67 experiment. Like, we didn't know what we were going to do. And so that was huge, that you researched, that you found something, and that you proposed what you did. So just want to say that.
Thanks.
Anything else you feel like it was uniquely you?
I feel like that's a different question. Anything else that I feel it was uniquely me in what way?
That helped people enter in.
Okay.
You kind of mentioned it, but you just barely mentioned it. And I think it's worth really mentioning, making the schedule for what could happen. So you didn't just propose Rally Up as a software, but you actually came up with an entire week of scheduling that could, a vision of what it could be, that then helped us. It helped John and all of us just go, oh, I can do that. Plug in, right?
Yeah.
So that was invaluable.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I guess along that line with the schedule and stuff, when Zach randomly texted me and was like, should we just start social media? I'm like, yes, just do it. I'm like, why not? Like, we're waiting for our rhythms, but we're going to be waiting for like 10 years if we keep waiting. Let's just go, because we will be missing a lot of traffic if we don't just do this. So we did that. And then, we were posting the schedule, and I tried to do a couple gentle curiosity things. Like, I tried to do one for every single person, and it was just way too much. But I really enjoyed just getting them out and putting them up for hopefully people to interact with them. So like these type posts with the gentle curiosity. Those were really fun.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I have a whole bunch more that we can reuse and repurpose as soon as we have the videos. We say link in bio or whatever, and then, you know, continue to have them available. I don't know how many people like actively enjoyed looking at the schedule on social media, but it was there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So you created posts for not only for Luke 10, but for anyone else, for all of, I mean, for me, for Zach, for any of us who were trying to get the word out and spread that word as well.
Yeah.
And they were so beautifully done. Mhm. Anything else?
For the first couple of days, I would be backstage. I think the first 2 days, I was backstage before every meeting and after, just to help people get used to it. And then once like you and John kind of had your bearings, I was like, okay, like I don't need to be here. They got it now. So I think that was an important piece. I don't specifically remember anyone telling me that they were nervous or to do it wrong, but I could sense it, that it was coming from a couple people. Just the newness and the different technology is scary and it's weird. So just being able to give my time in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. You were present and available. It was, yeah. If I can add one more thing that you did that helped me stay present with the experiment, which was obviously important, was your vulnerability. One, your self-awareness. You were saying how much people paid attention to each other was your favorite part. But for me, the way you helped people enter in is how you paid attention to yourself and then vulnerably shared, you know, when you were bumped out, when you were stressed, when you were feeling overwhelmed, because our whole organism, you know, if you had hid those things and just built resentment or collapsed without us knowing, you know, the whole thing would have shut down really. And so that was for me a very beautiful, precious, and valuable way that you showed up, because we all want to support you and want to be there and want to make it work and want to take up slack, you know, where it needs to be. But we needed to know what that was and when. And so those were hard conversations maybe for you, but it really helped us enter in, I think. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the week of really, or like a part. It's fun to hear you say like what I did to help people enter in, because like I was just being me. I'm done masking. I masked for so many years and pretended to be, you know, the best or the top of like whatever. And I'm done from that way of doing ministry or living life. It's not my flavor anymore.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And yeah, I think we pointed this out in the meetings that I cried in, is that the safety of that meeting where I could actually cry and not be shamed, ignored, or like dismissed.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. Looks like you're about to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad I don't want anyone wearing masks anymore. So that does move me to him.
Yeah.
So beautiful, because it just got any clogs out of the system so that the whole ecosystem could continue access to itself and functioning well. And you know, and I think personally too, I have worked in a high stress, like Zach was saying, high stress situations like that before with teammates who didn't show up and remove their mask. And it ended up with hard feelings and conflict, and the whole system could feel that energy. So, man, it's just a joy to work with people who pay attention to themselves and let's, you know, work together to get that out so that it doesn't show up in the system. So, yeah, really beautiful. Thank you. All right, bumped out. Where did you feel bumped out, if at all, but you know, any moments that kind of were ouches for you?
Yeah. Well, I was bumped out for my least favorite part with the payment issue, and then the recordings really bumped me out, and that's what like pushed me over the edge to actually cry on the general circle, because the expectation was that we would get all of the videos before the end of the night that day to post them so that people could enter in easily and catch up whenever they wanted or on the other side of the world. And that was a big bump out where John kind of just released any expectations, and I couldn't receive it in the moment. I was like, whatever, yeah, I knew you were going to say that. But later that day, I just kind of felt the tension release of that, and whatever we're doing is fine and everything else is just gravy. It took a minute. It took a couple hours for it to really sink in, but that was probably one of the biggest bumps next to the other one.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and we figured it out eventually, didn't we? It just took us the whole week.
I mean, not even though, but like, yes. Yeah, it took the whole, we figured out how they need to do it better.
Exactly. It was very complicated. Their system is very complicated, but we figured their system out. It just took us a while.
For someone who can't do numbers, the numbers changing every single time a video was rendered was something I could not do. And that bump out is also followed by one of my favorite parts where you were just like, let me do it. I was like, good. I can't do this alone.
Yes.
It was just ridiculous. So
I'm so glad I could help out in that way.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. What do you feel like for you was most important in this whole crazy experiment?
Okay. Honestly, I think the most important part was how involved our circles were, and the members of each circle. That feels huge, and I don't think we're talking about it enough. That involvement from everybody probably could have started way sooner, and that's like a note for the strategic partner circle, which we'll get in later. But seeing that type of involvement so quickly, you know, from Jim, from Kent, from Jason, from Ben and Jen, like literally everybody, from Jonathan, it was so natural. Like it felt so much like us being like one big virtual family and all showing up. That was really cool.
Wow.
I also really enjoyed happy hour, but that wasn't really the most important. It was just a favorite. I think it was our circle members showing up. Yeah.
And then anything you do differently personally, just thinking of how you lived that.
Yeah. Well, for starters, I think I would have pushed my rally up proposal a little bit more from the beginning. When you and Zach got sent off to meet with each other, you know, I popped it out there and I left it for you guys, and I didn't touch it until a week before.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, well, I could have done this way sooner and avoided a whole lot more stress. Wow. But yeah.
Because you actually told us about Rally Up before we started meeting.
Yeah.
And we didn't look at it.
Nope.
Or, I mean, in all honesty, we had our hands full with all the video production. So it was hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, I hear it. That would have been amazing.
Yeah. Having 2 months to prepare that. That would have been great. Instead of 4 days. Yeah, I think that's something I would do differently. Like the only thing maybe that I could actually control, that I would do differently.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, thank you. Anything else?
This came up in our meeting with Zach and Karin, but it was something that Zach would do differently. And I think from his answer, it prompted what I could do differently for him. His answer on what he could do differently about the videos was I can actually ask people to do work.
Mm,
Like I don't have to do it all.
wow.
And I think I would have liked to be
Mm,
either more included in what was happening in those meetings, or just more
mm.
able and cognizant to ask him what he needs off of his plate in order to do his project fully. Like having him push it on was amazing, loved it, but I also know what that feels like,
Yeah.
and I don't have 5 kids.
Yeah. Well, and for the
So
record, I asked him that every time we met.
I
But
bet you did.
he's learning what he can ask people to do,
Yeah,
and it just takes experiment, right? It takes
yeah.
experience, and then realizing the competencies of our team and realizing what he can ask from us. So yeah, it's just a
And
learning process.
yeah, he
But
mentioned that as well. But I think like when I'm thinking for next time, I have specifics on what to ask
yeah,
to take off, because like
good.
there's just, little tiny things that doesn't need to do but would be extra. So
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Man. All right. Well done. How do you feel after debriefing?
Pretty good. Pretty even. Nothing. When I asked Zach that question, I wasn't sure if there was going to be like any extra emotions or bottling up or nerves anywhere for me. So I was specifically paying attention to myself during it. But yeah, no, nothing. I'm still really content and really proud of our team, our processes, and our systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, normally we would ask, do you want feedback or do you want anything like that? And I think I kind of gave some, at least on the ways you showed up that helped us enter in. That's really the biggest piece, that we give feedback when we debrief somebody. So maybe we still could tell Zach some of the ways he showed up that helped us enter in. I think he'd love to hear that from us.
Yeah, we definitely missed that question.
Yeah, that would be fun to do that for him. Yeah, and I think I named most of the ones that really helped me. I mean, your onboarding was amazing. That was incredible, babe. I just have to say, there's no way this could have gone over, because it was a lot of onboarding. And so your clarity in your emails, giving people instructions on how to do it, meeting with them, making yourself available, that was incredible. And yeah, really well done. So I really appreciate that.
I don't think this is going to sound silly, because this appreciation story, but I don't think I fully understood what I did until until my my coaching call, where I was online with like a communications coordinator in Dubai, and I like told her my week, and she was like, "Wait, you did what? For how long?" And I was like, "Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da." Like it was no big deal. And she just kept pausing me and was like, "That's incredible." Because yeah, like in our circles, like and how we function, like, yeah, of course I do this. Like it's just what I do. But yeah, hearing it again from you, and then from like a completely outside source, I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
I guess that does have some merit.
Yeah, I would definitely call this a high functioning team, really high functioning team. And you are a huge high functioning member of that team. So yeah, really amazing work. And then your honesty and your vulnerability, because we all knew you were carrying a lot, and trying to support through that was beautiful, because you let us.
It was also really fun it was weird in the moment, because I'm a 1 and a 9 and a 2, but having so many people ask like, "Oh, are you okay? Like, how are you doing?" Like, yeah, I'm fine. But retrospect, I really enjoyed all those touch points, and everybody on the videos or on live, mentioning or just saying like hi, or like hope she's okay, or praying for you, whatever. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for debriefing. And I know we'll see each other in more debriefs coming up here shortly.
Sounds good.